Now we're going to do the back brakes. I've already done some stuff here. I've taken this bolt out of here. I moved the little chrome shield that goes here and the foot peg. I had to take the foot peg off. I normally don't have to, but this is the aftermarket one, and getting this off without pulling the peg is a little bit troublesome, so I just did that. No big deal. So I have to take the brake line off here, off the master. And the reason I'm doing this is the way this is plumbed from the brake, the master actually goes into a T back here. One line goes to the rear brake, one line loops all the way around, goes through a proportioning valve, and then to the front end. So when you step on the brake here, it actually brakes both ends. And when you hit the hand lever, it also does both ends. So I have to split those in half because there's no way we can get it to work properly without problems with handling. So right now the hand lever is going to run the front brakes, the foot lever is going to run the rear. What I need to do is isolate this so that this brake lever runs both pistons in the rear, and that's it. And this way we'll have good brakes all the way around. What you'll find on these Trikes is the front brakes are so good and it's so convenient. It's much more convenient to use your hand than your foot. Most riders, myself included, barely ever use the rear brake. We always use the front because it just works out so much more efficiently. But what I found is the way I used to do this was really easy. I put a little splice in the front and the brakes worked, but you couldn't lock up the rear brake because the proportioning valve would inhibit that. So I had to go to this so that we had really good brakes. I mean, you can lock up the rear wheel now, and that's something that we couldn't do before. So I got the line off. There's a tab here on top of the cylinder. I have to cut that off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, that's off. Now the other way to do this, and I actually helped out one of the other Trike companies with this because they were doing this the really hard way. You got to take the seat off, pull the gas tank off, and all that to get at the fittings here. Well, you don't really have to do that. What I do is just cut them off, and you'll see why I do it this way. All right, so now I got to sneak these things out from under here like that. Make sure I knock the light crazy. Trouble lights are called trouble lights for a reason because they are nothing but trouble. There, we got these two lines go directly to the back brake. So first thing, the very first thing I'm going to do is cut these ends clean. I learned the hard way. If you don't take this off, you will bleed a lot. These edges are really sharp after you cut them like that. So I do this, it smooths out that edge and takes that razor off the end there. And these lines are a little different. They're really hard steel. They're not like normal brake lines. Normal brake lines are a little bit stiffer than copper tubing, but not much. But these are a little harder to flare because they are really tough. We are safe now. Then I got to peel this plastic coating off of here so that I can get my flare tool on it. This is a lot more work than the way I used to do this, but the end result is it's better. And that's the key. If it's better, it's worth the effort. Okay, this is the fun stuff. See if we can get this guy to slide on there. Yep. And then my tool has to go on here. Same procedure as before when I did the front. There. have to get this really tight. As I say, those lines are tough. Okay, well, after multiple alternative English lessons, I got this thing. I got them flared. Let's see if you can see that. There. Got the flares on there. Got these bent at 90 degrees. We'll go ahead and tighten these up. And because they're such a hard tubing, I need to really kind of tighten these a little extra. I don't want them leaking. That's where the bubble flare is nice. It gives you a little extra squishable material. Okay, we'll put the little trombone on here. Then we have this. This will be fun. I have to somehow, as you notice, I put a piece of tubing on the end to get it some direction, and I put some tape here so it doesn't get snagged. But I have to fish it through here and catch it back here. And this doesn't always go real gracefully. And I've had it stick in here where it was a fight to get it back out. Oh, I think we're doing something. And there she is. That went pretty good, actually. There. Yeah, that'll work. So then we'll put this guy back in there. This is getting to be pretty good. Now the trick is getting this started. Okay, well, I got that in there okay. I had to fidget a little bit, but it went okay. I tried to get it out, that didn't work. Once these things go in, you don't get them back out of there, so kind of gave up on that whole thing. So now this hooks to here. Easy peasy. Now this all goes under there. Okay. There's a little 6mm here that has to go back in. And I think I'm going to put a tie wrap on that. The only reason I'm doing this is because the swing arm does go up and down, and I don't want this thing banging around in there. So what I usually do is tie it to this cable right here. And what that'll do, it'll just suspend this off the top of the swing arm, so it never comes in contact, and we're good. So that was what I'd call something. So as you can see, it's all tucked in there real nice and neat. Make sure this clears the tire okay, which it does. It looks like it could come this way a little bit though. I think I'll go ahead and take care of that. I could do it with the tire switch, but I'll do it now. Then I'm going to put some fluid in here and bleed this out. You notice how they always put this in a position so that it's virtually impossible to get this lid off of here. And the newer ones are even worse. I think the 2015 I worked on, they have a different side cover, and this can be a chore. So you can bend it out a little bit, and that helps. There, we'll go ahead and fluid tape that and pump her out, and we should be good. And check for leaks. I can tell already there's no leak, because you would hear air, and you'd hear bubbles right now. So go ahead and take care of that. All right, she's all done. Got really firm pedal there. You can tell that's pretty good. Had a lot of trouble though. Well, good thing this was off camera. It was quite creative. I could not get any fluid flow through here. And what I discovered is I tried to pull this line out of here, which never works. Once that line goes in, you can never get it out because the end of it catches on the frame. So I tried pulling a little bit with more gusto. Well, that didn't work, so I pushed it back, got everything hooked up. I managed to get it on here okay. And it turned out when I pulled on it, I collapsed the line, so the line was ruined. So I cut the end of it off, pulled that out, stuck a new one in there. And then there was so much air in the system, it took me a little while to bleed it out. But normally, bleeding it out doesn't take much. It usually goes pretty quick. And I make sure all the fittings are good. You know, I hold this thing down, check all for any leaks or anything. It's good. Everything's good. And I check the brake lights. I want to make sure the brake lights come on because sometimes it firms up the pedal enough where the little micro switch doesn't activate. So then I have to adjust this plate to get the micro switch here to disengage because it's normally open, and when you step in the brake, it lifts off the switch. So now it's closed. Anyway, she's a done deal. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little grease in all these rubber grommets. I always do that so that they stay intact and don't get, you know, they get dry and you put the panel on, you push these things in and away they go. So I put a little bit of grease on each one of these just to make sure, you know, they slip together good. So this is all done. All I got left, I'm waiting for the wheels, of course. The rims, I've got tires, I've got all that stuff. They should be here tomorrow or Monday at the latest. Then I can do the tires front and back and put a car tire on the back. We'll talk about that when I get to that point because that's quite a controversial thing. It's even almost as controversial as the magic red dot. And we'll talk about that too. So I'm going to stick this guy together and then I'm going to go ahead and get the antifreeze in this thing and make sure the coolant system is up to snuff. Then she'll be ready, once the wheels get here, she'll be ready for a test drive.